it's important for you to understand that, like, you wouldn't have had the option to be this much of a shut-in if you were born 1,000 years ago. You would have had like a village, and you're at 14, you would have been tilling the field, and your parents would have been like, you need to go take this like bushel of grains down to trade for them at the market. It's a 2-day trip. Here's a dirk to defend yourself with. You would have had the opportunity. I'd be dead. You don't know that. You don't know that. Dude, people couldn't even be this much of a shut-in during the 90s. Yeah. People think the boomers are mocking them with their like abundant job availability and low and like low housing costs. In reality, the boomers are mocking you guys because they grew up in an era where everyone kind of like knew their neighbors. Vosh is ableist against quirky, mysterious loners. That's true. I am. That is very true. Vosh is not advocating masking. What the hell is wrong with chat? People get really defensive whenever I talk about this, man. People get really defensive. Sometimes I wonder why Vosh has only 500,000 subs. Only. Then he opens his mouth and says some shit that reminds me why. It wouldn't, like, pivoting into super duper meritocratic hardcore self-help stuff actually, like, really boost my sub count? Like, isn't that the entire manosphere? If I was like, listen up, dipshits, the reason you don't have a Lambo is because you don't talk to 57 hot cashiers a day. Like, wouldn't that be the... I feel like, if anything, that's the profitable market to go into. Find me the big YouTubers who are like, no, no, no. The reason you don't have a job is because of, like, everybody else's mistakes, not yours. You shouldn't have to go outside. Where's the, like, neat-pilled money at? There are no neat Andrew Tates. I wish Vosh would go off his pissy gay arc, drags the whole stream down. You can't take the pissy gay out of the Vosh. What the hell are you talking about, man? You think it's a performance? You goddamn homophobe. How should I, as a trans woman, get a job without being discriminated against then? You can't. That's not... What do you mean? If I was offering advice to, like, black youth for getting a job, and they were like, well, how do I avoid racism? My answer would probably be like, that shit sucks, my man, but you have to... you still need a job. Like, you can mitigate it, but I think that, you know, these are like a part of a tapestry of factors that you have to keep in consideration. Vosh not realizing he's just defending capitalism. It is rough out here. You know how I say live streaming is the hardest job? I'm looking at YouTube chat. YouTube chat doesn't like it when I suggest YouTube chat has a lower quality on average than VGG, but every once in a while you have to go back and read the chats that I see there, especially when topics like this come up. Buddy, okay? It's all fair and good to criticize capitalism from a systemic perspective. But from an individual perspective, your ass needs to eat. It's that simple. It has nothing to do with broader systemic critique. You really think capitalism is getting defeated if I tell you, like, no, everything's unfair, you should just bed rot? Like, you think that's responsible rhetoric from somebody with a public platform? Like, I'm supposed to sit here and be like, no, 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 no. You don't need to work on yourself. You shouldn't try to optimize your chances of survival in this unfair system. What do you think advocates for socialism must have been like in the early 19th century? Were they like, no, you should just die because working would be exploitative? You're being silly. And this is part of the reason why we can't organize, and this is part of the reason why you're not going to make it, okay? Accusing me of being ableist for saying that you should work on your social skills if your social skills are preventing you from getting a job? Sheesh! Like, little bit, you know, revealing in my opinion. You always look at the worst comments? Yeah, well, you know. Vosh is right on this. I got much more social once I started working a customer service job. It's a muscle like anything else, right? It's like saying, well, I got a lot more strong after I started working in a warehouse, as long as you take care of your back. Yeah, you're doing a lot more lifting. How am I supposed to go down the hall to the bathroom when the stairs are ableist? That's fucking true. That's fucking true. It is just a skill, though. Vosh doesn't do any of the shit he prescribes, though. Arguments from hypocrisy are the refuge of the people who have already lost the argument. After all, even if I did none of the things that I suggest you do, would that make my advice invalid? And if you think the advice is invalid, why not critique the advice on its own principles, rather than arguing that I don't participate in it? Also, I do. But it doesn't matter. It's a whataboutism. I don't know, man. I just think it's real sad, personally. I just think it's real sad. You see so many people like this online, and it makes it's like the burrito taxi thing, right? It makes it a little bit difficult to sympathize with a person's economic struggles if they're spending $800 a month on the burrito taxi. And, you know, that doesn't mean capitalism isn't unfair or whatever, or that we're not all getting strangled economically. It's just like you shouldn't spend $800 a month on the burrito taxi. I'm not saying you're a bad person if you do. I'm just saying, you know, I'm not saying you're wrong in telling people to be social, but damn, man, do you have to preach at us basic things? Yes. Oh my God, yes. Genuinely, I really do feel the average person, Gen Z and younger, is lacking in like the most basic social skills. It's not a my community thing. I think it's like across the board. I truly believe we're at a crisis point with this. It is really bad. It is really goddamn bad. Yeah. Wear deodorant type shit. Yeah, but then you go to a Magic the Gathering tournament and people are stinky. I've talked to a bunch of you in Discord calls over the years. Some of y'all are awkward bitches. That's true, Thana. That's true. Call them out. Yes. The Gen Z stare gives me lead poisoning vibes. It's a real thing, man. It's f***ed up. You walk around outside and you see like a person who looks like they're 20, and the only people from that age cohort who are openly social are when you see a bunch of broccoli-haired young men with big pants walking around laughing, at some joke you didn't, you just get the impression of like a friend group. But a lot of other like non-paired off Gen Z people or whatever, you walk past them and they're just like, they got the stare. I film weddings and Vosh is 1,000% correct. My Gen Z and younger clients do not know how to communicate. I'm just saying it's a real issue out there. That's all, okay? That's why I talk about it. What stare? They're looking at their phones. I really do think I'm so sorry for the boomer take. This is the reason why I'm anti-phones in school. I really do think that if you guys once a week would take an hour-long walk and not bring your phone, that would be like a transformational experience. And I'm not kidding. I'm not saying transformational in like a euphemistic way. I mean like the memories of that walk would stick out stronger in your mind than the memories of anything else that happened in that week, I guess I'm thinking mostly in the context of living in a city, but you can like, go into coffee shops and you can look at stuff and you can look at a bug. There might be like a cool bug on the ground that you can look at. Now I live in a small town. I still get 140 plus miles a month. Nice. Get that walk in. Helps you live long. I like to spend a few hours a week at the city park staring at the pond, no talking, no phone, and it seriously improved my mental health. Just trying to offer help to people. That's all. No Vosh streams while walking? Yes, no Vosh streams while walking. I didn't know the Gen Z stare thing was more than a meme. It's kind of difficult to, like, fully appreciate these sorts of long-term social changes when you're in the midst of them. The classic, a fish doesn't know what water is kind of deal, a monkey doesn't know what air is, right? It's difficult to appreciate it. But, like, there is such a big difference in the general social demeanor of older people versus younger people. I feel like any group of people, any generation that has grown up with internet devices in their pocket, like, very big difference, on average, in how they act and carry themselves in public. The lead paint stare is funnier, but lead paint doesn't make you, like, detached that way. It makes you angry. It'd be more like the lead paint crash out, the lead paint rush down, the lead paint left hook, the lead paint drop kick. Been talking about this for a while. Still, I'm happy we read that article. You're just thinking of terminally online people. One thing, and this is really difficult for people to grasp these days, everyone is terminally online. Everyone is. The divide that existed back in the 90s and early 2000s is not real anymore. Like, yeah, some people might be more terminally online than others, but nowadays, even a relatively offline person is extremely online by the standards of like 2003, It's all the time everywhere. But we still want to put up walls and pretend that like, well, no, listen, I'm not terminally online, somebody who's developing opinions on the plot of Umineko and whose job and hobbies are all computer-oriented and who has a bunch of social media accounts to manage. The real terminally online people are the people who spend like 8 hours a day on W Place with the Uma Musume horses in memoriam because one died today. That's the real terminally online person. In reality, we're just different, shades of the same hue. I feel we're in the same boat. Just exercise some self-control and be self-aware about what you are